Hey, what's going on, everybody? Movie Phantom here. Of course, I was joined by my lovely girlfriend, Maya. I was sick last week, and then now she kind of got it too, so. How you feeling, sweetie?
A little better.
A little better? That's good. This week, our double feature is Embalming and House of the Long Shadows. Boom. There you go. That's it right there. So let's get into it. We'll hit up Embalming first from 1999, and I believe, and please don't crucify me for this, I know it's Asian. I'm gonna say Korean, but once again, don't completely hold this to me. The fan should do his research, but he doesn't. Basic premise here is this woman, she's an embalmer, and she has a politician's kid. Like, you know, kid committed suicide, so basically what, you know, as she's doing the embalming process, someone kidnaps the head. Like, someone cuts the head off and steals the head. And of course everybody's freaking out now because, you know, you can't give a proper burial without the head. And it turns more into like a mystery type thing. So I came across it. Now, you didn't watch this one with me last night. You were not feeling too well, so she NyQuil'd it up like I did last week, and then she went to bed early. This movie really isn't a horror movie. Like, I would not classify this as a horror movie at all. Not sure. I mean, you can see where there are definitely some horror elements to it, but for the most part, it's definitely just drama more than anything else, with a little bit of mystery, crime thrown in, you know, for good measure. The one thing that seemed very weird to me is, like, I don't know, it just seems like embalming just is like a standard practice. Like, even in '99 here in America, it was just very standard, you know. It was there's nothing to it, but maybe it could be a culture thing, I don't know. It seemed like it was new to them. Like, they were acting like this was something new, and they were just explaining all the different, like, the history of embalming, and, you know, the practice behind. And it just seemed like people in the movie didn't know what embalming was either. Like, they were just kind of like, what's so special about embalming somebody? And you're like, what? It's like, it's what you do. They die, you embalm them, you bury them. Boom, that's it. The embalming's for the casket, the open casket thing. So I don't know. It seemed like they had it just seemed like it was like a brand new concept to them. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that was. I don't know. I really don't know what, you know. It just seemed like it seemed more significant to them over there. Like this was like a very special thing. The other thing was there was the villain, and I'll drop some spoilers here, because it's '99. The villain of the movie, when you find out who's behind it, he has like his own little like religious cult type thing, and it looks like they're just kind of like they're Catholics with a little bit like Buddhist. I'm not sure they had a name for it. I can't remember what it was, but it definitely it had a kind of a Buddhist meets Catholicism look to it, you know. And it was a sin to embalm you know, people. I don't know why. But he was just like, you don't embalm them. That's, you know, it's not natural or whatever. So that was like his whole dark person. And they're the ones that you finally find out at the end who, you know, was behind it. You know, like they're the ones that are like, they make themselves known very early on. They're against the embalming. Then the head goes missing, and they make you try to think it's someone else. But it's like, well, wouldn't it be these guys who were clearly against it from the beginning? And then it winds up being those guys. And you're like, oh, shock. This movie was just very, I don't want to say confusing, because I mean, once you finish it, you can pretty much figure it out. It just seemed very convoluted. Like, there's just a lot of shit they just kind of threw together on this one. The kid had, the boy that kills himself, you know, the son of this politician or whatever, and his wife, you find out that it's not even their kid. And I don't know if it was, and that's the thing, they never really explained it. I don't know if it, you know, if the mother was actually the birth mother of this kid, but basically it was, they did tell you that the leader of this cult, this, you know, religious figure who's against the embalming, it's his kid. On top of that, the kid had a twin brother that just shows up out of nowhere later on. And they never mention him at all, and then like out of nowhere he's there, and they're like, oh yeah, it's his twin. Like, they just kept connecting dots like that. Like, they would just come out and just tell you shit. Like, whenever the plot needs you to know, like, information, they just went ahead and like, oh yeah, by the way, he had a twin. Well, you didn't know that? Oh, well, yeah, I can explain to you. And then the girlfriend winds up being his sister, and once again, they just come out and say, like, out of nowhere, they're like, well, you know they were brother and sister. It's like, no, we didn't know they were brother and sister. And it doesn't come out with like a twist. This seems like bad writing. The sister / girlfriend has multiple personalities. There's 4 of them in total, and that's another thing. They just come out of nowhere and just tell you that. Like at first, I mean, they're hinting that there's 2 of them, but then out of nowhere, as they're sitting down discussing the 2, they're like, well, there's 4 of them. Oh, bless you, sweetie. They go, there's actually 4 personalities altogether, and you're like, where'd that even come from? The whole movie was like that. Like they just kept adding on different information, like out of nowhere. Like it was just like, as the story progresses, it's not even a twist. It'd just be like some guy sitting there, and then he'd be like, oh, by the way, there's another guy here who, the main girl, the embalmer, she is trying to track down the head. Like, she just becomes I know she's a coroner, and they work together with the police, but it's like she turns into the detective. Like, she's on this, like, route trying to find the head. And it leads her to this guy who is, like, he basically takes body part, like, he's on it's like the black market, very much. And he's taking the body parts, and he gives them to, whoever needs them, I guess. Anyways, it's like, out of nowhere, they're like, it's probably your father. And it turned out to be her dad. And you're like, wait, what? And like, out of nowhere. It was just like, it's her father. And it's just shit like that. The whole time, like, every time there was any kind of crazy twist, it wasn't even treated like a twist. It was just like, oh yeah, here's just more of the story. This is it. Yeah, it was a lot of that. Very slow. I mean, very slow movie. It never even really picks up. Like, there's never a moment you're like, oh, this is getting good. It was just very dull. Once again, there was no horror elements to it. I mean, there were no horror elements. It was not much of a horror movie at all, though. I mean, there were horror elements, but there wasn't really. Like I said, it was just very slow. The acting was bad. That's one thing that's kind of odd. And I don't want to come off sounding like super racist or whatever. I really don't. But it seems like whenever I watch like a foreign film, I can't quite pick up what good acting or bad acting is, because it's all foreign to me. Like, I can read the subtitles, and I guess if the face is matching the subtitles, then it's good acting, I guess. So, like, I never even thought, like, there could be bad foreign acting. Like, if I ever heard bad foreign acting, I wouldn't pick it up, be like, oh, it's just normal. No, this is the first time I'm like, some of the things, like, these are just some horrible actors. Like, it was just like the whole group was just bad actors. The production values are very bad, but I don't ever try to. I mean, I know, like, because I know, like, The Grudge or Ju-on, it had pretty bad production values, but it was still a good movie, so it didn't really hamper. But this one just seemed to hamper. Like, it was just really, yeah. Another thing was, like, there's a scene where, like, when they're trying to infiltrate, like, this black market toddy snatcher, I don't know what to call him, the black market embalmer, if you will. The police come in, and it was just like scenes where they need to be like standing there, like we're looking at each other, like 10 feet apart. But instead of like actually trying to like bam, 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 action wise, they just stand there and they like point, and they're just shooting at like point blank range, like 10 feet away from each other. And literally, there's 4 of them, and they're just like bam, 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 and like no one's getting hit with anything. And then finally, like 2 guys will just fall down. And then the other guy just takes off running, and the other guy chases him. I'm like, what? And I was like, well, maybe that's just like an odd little fucking scene, but that happens like 2 more times. Like, especially when this cop comes through, it's like they don't really, it's just like the script says, let your gun and shoot, and that's what they're doing. There's like, bam, 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 bam! Or bam, bam, bam! It was a lot of, I hit my back on the edge, that kind of hurt. It was just very, I don't know, it was bad. It was just bad all around. I did like the score, and it was weird because, like, the story, for the most part, you are following the girl, and I forget her name, the embalmer. Well, let's call her the embalmer. You're kind of, she's the main character, so you're just kind of following her on this journey. And as she's trying to, uncover, who took the head and everything, it had this weird kind of jazzy soundtrack. I'm always a big fan of the jazz soundtracks. I always love, like, especially the middle Hitchcock movies. He kind of employed that a lot. But, and David Lynch, and it felt like a very David Lynch type soundtrack. Like, it just brought to mind, like, Blue Velvet or Mulholland Drive or Twin Peaks. It just had a very, and so just the fact that the story itself is like, it's kind of odd, like they're tracking down a head. It seemed very Lynchian to me, like, so I don't know, it just felt like, and that was, I mean, if there was one shining moment there, I guess, every now and then, like, you just feel like you're kind of watching a bad David Lynch movie. Like, David Lynch took a coffee break, and he's just like, here, you take over for a while. Those scenes is what it'd be compared to this, I guess, But yeah, I don't know, overall, Embalming, I'm not recommending it at all. The other thing, okay, if I had another complaint real quick, and I know this is going to make me sound like a racist American douche. I'm so sorry, but it's so true. Is like during the shootout, I didn't know who was who. Like literally, it's just a bunch of Asians shooting at each other, and they're all fucking robotic. So it's just like, no one, you can tell who was who. So like, I don't know, I'm just like, okay, so where's the police chief here? Who's the captain, the detective? Who's, you know, who am I rooting for? I didn't know. I really did. And there's just so many things that at one point I thought like the main, or the, I guess you say the main male lead in the movie, I thought he was dead. I was like, well, he just got shot. Shit. Oh wait, there he is running. Who got shot? I don't know. It was, I couldn't just, you know, I couldn't differentiate who was who during some of these scenes. I know it sounds horrible, and I want to apologize to any Asians out there who are watching my show right now. I mean no disrespect. But I'm just saying that, you know, I honestly couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. They all had like short dark hair, and they were all Asian, in suits, shooting guns. I couldn't tell difference. I'm sorry.
Like
I couldn't.
they looked the same.
I wasn't going to say that. Wow, racist McGee over here.
No.
But you're right. They did look they looked the same. I don't say similar, no. They looked the same. I couldn't tell them apart. I'm sorry. But no, I mean, so like I said, I don't know. It was and normally like Asian horror films, I'm a huge fan of. Like even some of the lesser known ones that I've been reviewing, you know, as of late. Like even when they don't really have that, I guess, international success, or they're not considered classics or whatever, I tend to be like, yeah, those are still a damn good movie. Like it just has a certain feel to it. And this was just, this was a big time miss. So I'm giving it a big thumbs down. I just was not a fan. So if you happen to come across, it's on YouTube actually. That's where I watched it. It was right here on YouTube. I just typed in Enbalming and movie. I think I maybe typed in the year or something like that. I was gonna put the link, but I'm lazy. It comes to like putting. I know it don't take much to get like open another page real quick and find that video, then come back, and it's more effort than I'm going to put in for the Enbalming. So if you're really hard up and want to check out this movie, you can search for it here on YouTube, and I'm sure you'll come across it. But yeah, overall, I'm saying don't bother. You ain't missing much. So. All right, well then we just got done watching our next movie, House of the Long Shadows. The basic premise is this writer and his publicist, they have a bet that, you know, he'll stay in this but no, the bet is he must finish a book. He has to write the first draft of this book in 24 hours. Boom. If he can do it and, you know, return back, because he's very cocky and arrogant. He's just like, I can write, because they were Wuthering Heights. They're like, he's like, I can write a book like that. It's garbage. I can write shit like that, no problem. I'm getting 24 hours, $10,000, and the guy's like, ah, he's like, go $20,000. He's like, all right, fine. And then, of course, when he gets there, a lot of the house that is supposed to be abandoned, there's a lot of guests there. Like everybody just starts showing up at this house, but dang it, it turns deadly. So what do you think about the movie?
It was okay.
It was 1983. I'm gonna tell you now, I am dropping some spoilers because there are twists in this movie, but. Go ahead, sweetie. What do you think about this movie? Sorry.
I liked it.
You did like it?
Yeah, but I thought it's confusing.
The last part.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, we definitely will. That's it?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah, it took forever to get a kill.
Yeah, that's my big complaint. Like a lot of movies I've been reviewing lately, I go into them just blindly. I'm just kind of like, let's just fucking check it out. Let's just dive in. Let's not worry about how, you know. So I had no idea what this movie was about at all. And I didn't know the cast. The cast is fucking incredible. You got Peter, or I keep wanting to say Peter Vincent. Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, John Carradine. Four just iconic horror actors all in one movie. And to my knowledge, I believe this is the only movie they've actually done together. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Of course, we all know that, you know, Lee and Cushing had their history. They've been, you know, Helsing and Dracula for, you know, fucking years. And I'm sure the others have crossed over from time to time or whatever. But I'm pretty sure this is the first time that all four of these guys were together in one movie. So when I saw that in the credits right out the bat, I was like, son of a bitch, it's going to be awesome. And then we focused on this American dude, which it turned out, I looked it up, it's Desi Arnaz Jr., fucking Ricky Ricardo and Lucy's kid from I Love Lucy. Fucking grown up, doing this movie. And he wasn't bad, he reminded me a lot of, I'm blanking on the fucking name, David Noddington? Is that him from American Werewolf in London? He kind of reminded me of him in a way. I'm sure I butchered that name, but yeah, he reminded me of the dude from American Werewolf in London. But anyway, so getting back to the movie here, so I had no idea anything about it. So we started watching it. My first complaint was, God damn, was this movie dark? Now we watched it on we had it on demand. I was shocked I even came across it on demand. We actually have it on it was the package, the cable package we got. We got a free deal. It's we got HBO, and then we also got a service called StreamPix, which I never heard of before recently. And basically, it's just a movie on demand. They have like a library of movies, and they're typically B movies, now, or older movies, like which you may or may not consider B movies or whatever. But it's you don't get a whole lot of like current blockbusters on this one. I'm trying to say. So when I found out this had the House of Long Shadows, I was like, let's check it out. So the first thing I noticed was like it started off okay, but then like when it gets to night scenes. And it was like this throughout the whole movie. It was just dark as fuck. Like, you could not make out a single thing that was going on screen. At all. One instance is, and I'm going to jump around here on the story, but there's a scene where, okay, the story basically, I'll tell the story first, I guess, so it won't be as confusing. I told you to back up, the background. He's come to the house to write the story. He needs solitude. The publisher hooks him up with this house. He knows the guy who owns the house. He's like, here, they're selling it off shortly anyways. You can have it for 24 hours. Write your book. And what happens is, on his way there, of course, there's a girl who's been following him. When he gets there, he starts writing this book, and that's the one thing, too. It's like he doesn't really, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm sure if you're a very talented, creative writer, maybe it doesn't take that long to write a book, but he's supposed to write the entire first draft in 24 hours. And, like, I've read, like, Stephen King takes him, quite a bit of time to write, whatever. This guy was like, and then he don't even, like, get started right away. Like, he just jacks around for the longest fucking time. Like, he just wants to go explore the house. And then whenever he runs into the girl who's been following him, he talks to her for he's just like, I gotta get this book. I gotta write a book. I got a deadline. And then he'll like kick her out. And then whenever she comes back because it's a part of the plot, he just starts talking to her. And I'm like, really? And then constantly she's and you find out early on that she was because when he first meets her, he overhears a conversation that she's having with the guy, the publicist. And he learns that she was basically brought in to distract him from writing the book. So even after he knows this, he's still playing her game. Like every time she's like, oh, there's someone outside, no, for real this time. He just keeps going with her. And I'm like, dude, don't you have a book to write? Jesus fucking Christ, write your book. But he doesn't. He jacks around the entire movie. When she goes outside, when she finally, when the gig's up, and he finds out that she's working for his publicist, she's the secretary. She leaves, and of course she runs into the caretaker. They ran into him earlier, and it's John Carradine, and the girl, I read her name, I can't remember what the fuck it is now, Sheila something. I didn't recognize the name, though, so I'm sorry, I'm a poser. Maybe she was a Hollywood heavyweight as well, a horror heavyweight, but anyways, they come off as the caretakers. And then Peter Cushing shows up, and of course he is, his car broke down, he just happens to be there. And then Vincent Price just shows up, and you find out basically that, John Carradine's the father, and those are his 3 kids. And then they're having the family reunion. And then Christopher Lee shows up. He's the new owner of the house, and he's going to demolish it. He's going to fucking smash it down. And, of course, they're freaking out for, whatever unknown reason. So, when it all comes out, basically what you find out is that years ago, we're talking back in the 30s or whatever. 40 years, yeah. Back, well, in the 30s, though, because this movie took, it's like 39 when this happened. There's another sibling, a brother named Roderick, and he killed this pregnant village girl. I don't think it's implied that maybe he was pregnant with his kid. I don't know, but he kills her. And so to avoid any kind of scandal or whatever, they take care of it themselves, and they lock him in a room, and he's sentenced for 40 years. So he must be in there for 40 fucking years. So what happens though is he breaks out, and now there's a mad, lunatic running around the ground. You got all these people there. And at one point, early on in the movie, when he's trying to find the house, he bumps into this couple. And you just knew the couple was going to be brought in just to be killed off, and that's exactly what happens. But anyways, what I'm going to get to is when they realize that Roderick's escaped, they're in his room looking around, and they stumble across, I saw like a glimpse of maggots, but it's like it was so dark you couldn't see what the fuck was on the ground. And then something falls from the top, and I don't know what the fuck it was, but then John Carradine, the dad, they're like, it's his heart. it scared him. Apparently, he had a heart attack, and he does eventually die. But it's like, what the fuck fell? I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if maybe Roderick hung himself, and maybe I didn't know. And literally, right now, I don't even know what the fuck it was. But it was that dark. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was just stream ticks fucked it up, or maybe it was initially that dark. I don't know what happened, but a lot of the movie was just literally in the dark. Like the House of Long Shadow, that shadow was very very dark. But yeah, so anyways, as the story progresses, you know, people are getting picked off, and I found out early on, and I will say, but she's right, it took forever to get to this point. I'm not gonna lie, this movie was dull as fuck early on. Like, I was just like, son of a bitch, this is just. The dialogue is nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong, the acting was good, but it's just like, you could get the greatest actors to do Shakespeare for me, and I'm going to be bored. I'm sorry, I just will be. It has nothing to do with their acting at all. They're doing great up there, but it's just the subject matter. And it was just very dull, and I was like, you know, this is going to be just some bogus haunted house thing, you know, like one of those, like the old dark, you know, haunted houses movies they had back in the 30s or whatnot. So I was like, I don't give a shit. But then it turns into like almost slasher. Like literally the last 30, it takes you until the last 30 minutes of this movie, and the movie's only like an hour and 40 minutes long, for it to actually start picking up, and like literally he starts disposing of these people one at a time. Before that even happens, I realized already who Roderick was, and this is the spoiler, so right now if you don't want to be spoiled, turn it off right now. Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee was the Lost Brother, and I knew it, because I was sitting there watching, I was like, yeah, it's kind of weird, like, I just wonder, like, how he got that role, like, all these Lost, iconic, or not Lost, all these iconic, horror, you know, actors are all part of the same family. He's like the one that's got left out, and I was like, oh, he probably ain't left out. Oh shit, that's probably Roderick right there. And then as it starts progressing, you're like, no, it's fucking Roderick, I guarantee it. And it is, it's Roderick. The best scene, I thought, in the movie was there's a scene where this, I said the couple, the main character meets at the, you know, in town at the train station. They show up, and once again, as soon as they showed up, you knew right off the bat they're just going to be extra victims to kill off, to establish that there's a killer on the loose. And they are. The girl, she's washing her face, and of course, you know, at the time I was like, how is this even possible without, you know, burning her hands initially, but you'll find out here in a little bit why. But it was like she washed her face with acid, and of course, whenever, you know, she splashed the acid on her face, it's just melting and everything, and just an awesome fucking scene. The big twist, because if Roderick being the killer was not enough, they go ahead and they pull the old April Fool's Day, or I guess you can say later on when April Fool's Day came out. Oh wait, no, that was all in the 80s. When did April Fool's Day come out? This was 83. It don't matter. Anyways, in April Fool's Day, you realize that, you know, at the end of the movie, no spoiler alert, the killer wasn't really a killer at all, and it was just a big gag, and all the victims stand up and they're like, oh no, we were all in on it. Same thing here, and literally you find out they were all hired by the publicist to fuck with him, and yeah, keep him from writing that book, and that was the twist, and you're like, oh, okay. And it wasn't that much, you know, because I'm not gonna lie, I mean, part of me, you know, the dark part of me is just like, I kind of like the fact that all these dudes got slaughtered or whatever, but whatever, I'll roll with it. So, you find out everybody was in on it except for the main character, and that's, you know, that's how that, you know, it's boom. The main guy was falling for the girl, you know, clearly that's just the way it is. And then she's like, well, I'm married. She was actually married to the couple that was, you know, from the town, the guy. She's married to him, right? So we're just like, all right, whatever. Well, then it just cuts to a daytime exterior of the house. So I don't know how much time passed from this revelation, but he does write like the entire manuscript. So I don't know if that was considered a different day or what, but either way, he goes to his publisher's office, gets a check for $20,000, but at this point now, he's learned his lesson, because like I said, in the very beginning, he's very arrogant, he does a whole like thing like, you know, he don't believe in true love or whatever, and now he's learned his lesson, you know, now he has fallen for a girl and unattainable. He realizes that money's not everything. He even ripped up the $20,000 check, which I didn't quite get, because I was just like, really? After all this, but then the girl shows up, and he asks her out on a date, and they go. And I was like, but wasn't she married? So now I don't know. And then that's the thing, when he turns around, you see, I think it was Carradine or Price, I can't remember, because it's just kind of a quick glimpse, is the waiter. And you're like, so they were all actors. That's all they all talk about. They're talking about how, you know, they were, you know, all actors or whatever. But I'm like, okay, so were they actors, or were they actually people who, I don't know, like, but then I'm like, well, then was she lying about being married to the other guy? And was that part of the game? So I don't know, like, if anybody happens to get the ending of that, because like I said, she at one point says, like, she even says, I'm married, you know, it's my husband, and they even turn around and leave him, and he's all heartbroken, but then he sees her at the fucking, when she, you know, he does the publishing thing, and then boom, that's the thing. I don't know, like, bumps into her. Although, you know what I think, maybe, what if that was all just a story? Like, what if he gets there and he writes a story? Because he even comes back to him when he drops it off. I think it's sarcasm. Like, he drops the manuscript off at the boss. And he's like, well, there you go. And he's reading it. Or he explains things to you a little. You know, clearly this didn't happen. It just wasn't, you know, based on any actual events, was it? And he goes, oh, of course not. I thought that was just them joking. But maybe it wasn't. Like, maybe it was all just in his imagination. And then he meets the girl. And then maybe that's how all these actors were in his mind. He saw the waiter or whatever. I don't know. If you guys have any light to shed on this, or if I'm just confusing the fuck out of you, please watch the movie. This one I couldn't find online. I'm sure you can maybe illegally download it, but I couldn't find it online. And instead of buying the DVD, I just went and opted out and watched it on demand. But House of Long Shadows. Either way, I did like it. It was good. Like I said, it takes for fucking ever though. Like literally, and not like in a good way. I mean, it was just it dragged ass the entire like first. You know, not even joking, like the first hour is just like, oh my god, this is just dull. I mean, it was cool seeing, like, because once all the characters start showing up, and you start seeing, you know, these 4 iconic actors in the same room together, you're just like, oh, that's fucking cool. But that novelty wears off pretty quickly when you're just like, oh, there's just nothing going on. Like I said, it literally takes an hour, and then it finally kicks into high gear. But I would recommend it. If anything else, just to see these 4, you know, horror greats, you know, together for the first time, you know, last time. So yeah, I recommend it. So, Sweetie, anything else to add? Nope. Well, Embalming and House of the Long Shadows, I'm getting up to here on these numbers. So yeah, this is my girlfriend Maya. I'm the movie fan, and